It's time for the Phil Ferguson Show.
This is Phil Ferguson, and of course, you are now listening to the Phil Ferguson Show. Quick little intro here, and then a pre-recorded presentation that I did a few years ago. By popular demand, I happened to mention that I was doing this talk again, and told listeners if they wanted to hear it, let me know, and I could just drop it into an episode, and it will become the episode because my intention for Christmas, the week after Christmas, and New Year's, and maybe even a couple days after that, is to kind of chillax a little bit. And that included not making a show. But here I am making a show. But it's going to be this short intro and then a recording of the live presentation I did several years ago that I ripped off of YouTube. You can go find the video and watch instead of just listening and see what's going on. Just Google Breaking the Cycle, How to Get Kids Out of Religion, Phil Ferguson, something like that. And you'll find it. You can watch it that way. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but there are a few visual gags, jokes, content. I don't know, a few things that might be missed in just the audio. But if it's all you have time for, the best way for you to listen, then, just power on. It's all going to be okay. We are now back in Florida, and in the past, when we brought the electric car down, we split the trip into two parts because I was concerned about how much time the electric car would add, and I did a whole long discussion on that episodes ago, so go look for that if that's something you missed and you really want to hear about. This time we decided to take 2 days just to break it up because we had time, and I really just wanted to get away from the bitter cold of Chicago. Well, what I had not accounted for, is it was not 2 easy days. It was 2 rough, long days. Not because we had an electric car, we had a gasoline car, but apparently because it's the holidays still, and people are moving around, getting in place, and maybe it's a little worse because of the Southwest fuckery and not being able to get pilots and crews and planes together in the right places at the right times so they can actually honor the tickets that they sold. I'm not bitter because I haven't been screwed yet, but I know a lot of people have suffered an awful lot through the holiday seasons with their flights not working. And I feel your pain, but I've estimated that our drive time was increased by 5 to 6 hours in total over the 2 days because of lane closures, construction, high traffic, accidents, all kinds of different things. And I think a lot of it is people on the road that aren't normally driving because of the holidays. I used to have a job where I had to drive a long distance on a regular basis many, many years ago. And there are rules. There's certain ways that we all drive to successfully get from one location to another. And a small percentage of people during the holiday driving who don't normally drive on interstates now are on the interstates. And not only is there more drivers, more cars, but they fuck shit up. So there's that. Had one little incident where, of course, it was in Tennessee. I fucking hate driving in Tennessee on the interstate because they don't know how to do it. I've driven in almost every state in the United States of America, and Tennessee is the one state that virtually every time I'm on the roads, something bad happens. People will get in the left lane and not pass the semi that they're trying to pass. They just sit there. I don't know if it's some kind of love affair with semis and they want to be next to it and cuddle for as long as possible, but they just don't pass. They get in the left lane to pass a semi and they stay there and they camp in the left lane. And what you get is 4, 5, 8, 10, 15 cars all backed up in the left lane. And then from time to time, which is what nearly caused our accident, my accident, I guess, I'll be responsible. I was the driver. Every once in a while, someone comes up along the right-hand lane and doesn't want to wait in the line of cars waiting to pass the truck like everybody else. And they go all the way up to the back bumper of the semi, and then they cut off whoever the fuck is in their way in the left-hand lane because they don't want to wait. I'm sympathetic to them not waiting. But when everyone else is waiting, you should wait too. I don't know what the fix is. Well, one of these times, the person they cut off was me. And of course, everyone in the line in the left-hand lane knows what's about to happen, and everyone bunches up, which is a fucking disaster waiting to happen. And this person cut in front of me, and I honked to make sure that they knew of my dissatisfaction. Well, apparently I had then offended them, and so they started to slow down. And they slowed down more and more, and a couple more cars passed me on the right because now there's this giant gap between all these cars in the line and where the semi is because this guy slowed down dramatically. So I'm looking and making sure there's nobody in the right-hand lane, and I turned my eyes back forward, and I could see that he had decided to brake even harder, and I don't know how I didn't hit him. I jerked into the right-hand lane and got beside him in a flash because I did not slow down as he was braking, but it was close. A lot closer than I would want, and thankfully my car is a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and at that moment I used every bit of gasoline and electricity at the same time to get back up to speed and go around the truck and then pull over in front of the truck. And then at the next exit, we decided that was probably a really good time to get some gas because I don't want to have this. I don't want to play this game. I've done that as a kid. No, we're not doing that. Anyway, so we've got the little segment coming up. Had some fun adventures on our travels. And like I said, we split it up over 2 days. Both days were long. Back to the Florida house. And I did notice that yesterday, the high here was 75. And I compared that to the wind chill low from Chicago a couple of days ago. And the change in temperature, relative, including wind chill, is 111 degrees. I think I have that math correctly. From a low, wind chill low overnight of minus 36 to 75 degrees just a couple days later, a change of 111 degrees. So that's kind of cool. The pool here, of course, is low, so I'm adding water to it, which makes it cold. The temperature of the water now is 64 degrees, and we're going to now try to see if the pool cleaning person shows up. I've been having a whole lot of hassle where the person assigned to clean my pool hasn't been showing up, and then when they show up, they don't do their job. And I even called their employer and I said, hey, just so that everybody's clear here, I have cameras. And I'm recording what the person does or doesn't do. I know if they came or didn't come. And finally, while I was in Chicago, they came one time. They were on a property for about 6 minutes and checked all the things that they're supposed to do, and they couldn't have. You can't do all that in 6 minutes. So it looks like it's firing time, and I'm going to have to go and tell the company they're fired and get a new pool cleaning company, which I imagine is not going to be that difficult because like every third house here or every other house, whatever, a lot of people have pools. So there's going to be a lot of pool cleaning companies. Future episodes coming up because it's the new year soon. Maybe even by the time you're listening to this, I'm going to do the year-end wrap-up where I'm going to talk about what different segments of the market have done as far as performance and what a model portfolio might have made. You don't have to make, or in this case, lose exactly this amount. You could have lost more. You could have lost less, depending on how your portfolio is designed. But as an example, listen to what I'm talking about and compare it to your portfolio. Hopefully you'll get your year-end statements somewhere around January 5th, January 8th, January 10th, something like that. And you can sit down and very easily, because it's the year-end, kind of look at where you are today versus where you were a year ago. Be careful with money that you added or taken out, because that makes it wickedly complicated. But if, say, for example, the market is down 20% and you're 100% in the U.S. stock market and you're down 35%, you should figure out how in the fuck that happened, because that's going to make it really freaking hard to retire if you are dramatically, materially underperforming the market. So I'll talk more about that in that segment when I get that episode done. Then, of course, a week or two after that, I will do the annual long-term, I don't even know what it is up to now, 14 or 15-year look back. I started this several years ago with the 10-year look back, and I just kept that data, and I would add 1 year's worth of new data, and it's a comparison between a target date fund, the three-legged stool investment philosophy, only the S&P 500 or the total stock market, I can't remember which one I used, versus the Polaris plan. And in the long run, as expected, just U.S. stocks beats all of them. You're taking the most risk, but you're getting the most return. But I think for most people, having a broadly diversified plan, while it might underperform in the long run, is a little bit better because it reduces the volatility and you have some more flexibility in times of dramatic change. So if you were in retirement and everything you own just went down 20% or more, now you're kind of in a bind. If you're 25 or 35, it doesn't fucking matter. And you could be 100% in stocks. Anyway, that's for future shows. If you have other topics, ideas you'd like me to go over, let me know and we can cover those. We're going to take a quick break and then you're going to hear the presentation, Breaking the Cycle, How to Get Kids Out of Religion. I can't believe I almost forgot this. I will be doing a slightly updated version of this presentation live. This will be January 15th at the University Club of Winter Park. And this is a northeast suburb of Orlando, Florida. So if you are anywhere in the area, I would invite you to come. It's perfectly free, really nice facility. The presentation starts at 2 and it goes till 4. Sometimes people will show up early, and that probably includes me. So as soon as they open the doors, which might be 1:45 or 1:30 or 1:15, whatever, I'll be there because I go early just to visit with whoever shows up. And this is an event put on by the Central Florida Free Thought Community. Now, this group, of course, is a delight to me because I'm now in Central Florida, but the organizers have this down and they're doing an event every couple of days all over the Orlando, Orange County, Central Florida area. They have bike rides, they have walks. I don't think they have bird watching, but that'd be kind of fun. Bird watching, alligator watching, I don't know. Karaoke nights, just regular pub nights, formal presentations. They put on a conference every other year, I think it is. And sometimes they actually do cruises, and I mean like on a cruise ship. So if you're in the area or you're planning a vacation to Orlando, I don't know why you might possibly do that. Check the schedule, see if you can find an event that fits in, and of course, drop in and say hello. But for this event, Breaking the Cycle, How to Get Kids Out of Religion, which you're going to hear an old version here in the audio pretty soon, but on Sunday, January 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, of course, at the University Club of Winter Park, I will be presenting an updated version live and in front of a studio audience. No, in front of a library audience, whatever the audience is. But we'll be doing that January 15th, 2 p.m., University Club of Winter Park, Florida. Now we'll take that quick break. Enjoy.
You're listening to The Phil Ferguson Show.
The Phil Ferguson Show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing said on the show should be interpreted as personalized investment advice. Investments should be based on your personal situation, and you, of course, should consult with your financial advisor or tax professional before taking any actions.
Hello. Ooh, it works. How y'all doing? That was pretty good. Let's try again. Good morning. Yeah. We are going to have some fun today, so I hope you are all ready. Just a little personal notes. I bought a house yesterday. Bad news, now I own two. So a little later, we are going to have some fun, so I'm just making sure everything is here. I had a little fun experience 2 days ago, I guess, on my drive through Missouri. We're in this town called Rolla. Have you ever heard of it? Nice place. I was listening to Christian radio because I was feeling kind of sleepy, and they pissed me off, and I can't sleep when I'm pissed. Just ask my wife. She'll tell you. And there's this lady named Karen, and she's asking for money. They play a song, really sappy I Love Jesus song, and then they beg for money, and then Jesus is wonderful, can do anything except for print money. Send us some money. And at some point, she says, everyone listening to this radio station should call and donate money. If you're listening and not donating money, I want you to call and explain to me why you're not donating money. Challenge accepted. So I called, and the person answered the phone and said, are you calling to make a donation? And I said, no, Karen asked me to call. They seemed a little confused, but they fetched Karen for me. And Karen comes on the phone, and she says, can I help you? And I said, you asked me to call you. And I was waiting for her to say something like, oh, a gift from God. But I explained that I wasn't donating money, and she asked me to call. She said, well, why not? And I said, well, I'm an atheist. Really? And I said, matter of fact, I'm driving to Springfield, Missouri, where 1,500, mostly, I know a couple of you may not be, but we'll work on that, 1,500 atheists are going to be at attendance for a convention called Skepticon. Really? I said, yes, and matter of fact, I am a speaker at this convention. And she said, well, what's your talk on? I said, how to get kids out of religion. Oh my. Well, about 15 minutes later, after a song finishes, she comes back on the radio and she says, people, I need to talk to you about something. I just had this very disturbing call from someone who's rejected Jesus. And he has told me that in Springfield, Missouri this weekend, there are 15,000 atheists. And I thought to myself, I did not say 15,000. I know I said 1,500. She was off by a factor of 10, but I thought, Christian, factor of 10, that's pretty fucking accurate. And I just realized I didn't plug in my little controller, so I'm going to roam a little bit. While I'm doing that, since this is Sunday morning, we are going to have communion. And I have two ushers that have agreed to help me. If they can please come to the altar here. And right in the center, gentlemen. We got to be balanced in the eyes of the Lord. That's just kind of how it works. Not my rules, sorry. And we'll get that here in a second. What we have for you is we have Mentos for 1,000. So they are going to pass out Mentos. This is going to be your holy sacrament. If you want to imagine that it turns into a piece of an ancient dead man, just for memory's sakes, go for it. Go forth. Thank you, gentlemen. Something. Okay. And then instead of wine, can I have one of those? I need to save one out. I'm prepared. You will see this in action before the day is over, before the hour is over. Lauren said it was okay. Did she leave? Good. It's good. Trust me. The talk is Breaking the Cycle. We're at Skepticon 5. Welcome. My business website is polarisfinancialplanning.com. It's on the screen in case you can't hear me for some strange reason. I have to tell you, because the state of Illinois strongly recommends that I tell you, that I am a registered investment advisor with the state of Illinois. As soon as I tell you that I'm registered with the state of Illinois, I basically have to tell you that it doesn't mean shit. They don't endorse me, they don't approve of me. I just basically filled out a 30-page form that they required me to fill out, and they said I did a good job. So I get a little star. This is my blog, Skeptic Money. If you don't read any blogs, come to mine. If you do read blogs, come to mine. My new thing is a Pink Atheist podcast with Rachel and Jimmy, and right over here. Give them a hand. Woo! And we have a live show Sunday from 3 to 5 Central, and our mission is to lift all boats. We all believe strongly that atheists should do less fighting and should do more promoting of each other. So if you are doing anything in the movement, we'd love to have you on. Are there leftovers? Thank you, thank you, thank you. For those who showed up late, screw them. One of my big things is it's great that you come to conventions, and I'm so delighted that you made it at 9:30. Thank you very much. But you need to go out and do something. Call people like Karen on the Christian radio station. Rattle her cage a little bit. I swear after she got done telling the story, I was waiting for her to break down and start crying because she was nervous, shaken. Go do things in the community, whether it's helping a food bank, picking up the side of a road. It doesn't have to be a lot. Meeting in the pubs is awesome, but you need to go out and do something. One of the things that I've done, and I wanted to talk to you about it for just a moment, is being involved with this event. The first year they had about 150 people, and Lauren can correct me if I get this wrong. Second year, about 300 people. The third year, they were maxed out with a room that had 500 people. JT put out a call and said, we need help. The problem is people come and donate money, but we need the money in advance to get this beautiful place for Skepticon 3. So I called him and I said, how much do you need? He told me. And after I picked myself up off the floor, I said, do you think you're going to get it back when people donate? And he says, yes. And I said, okay, I will give you the money. And Skepticon 3 exploded from 500 people to 1,000 people. And to this day still, I consider that one of the best investments I've ever made in my life. 500 extra people got to come to a free convention. Now, while it is free and it is growing because we went to 1,100 and hopefully today we'll get to 1,500, PZ asked if the room would be filled and I said, when are you talking? so about 7 o'clock tonight, this place is gonna be standing room only. It is free, but we need your money. And this is something that the Christians are kicking our ass doing, asking for money. So if you have no money and you just barely made it here with the gas in your tank, it's all good. But if you have some money, and I know some of you do, share a little. This convention might have cost you $400 or $500 if it was somewhere else. $100, a couple $100, 1,000 if you want. Just something to think about. This is my little reminder. Usually when you go to a play or a theater or something like that, they tell you to make sure you pull out your phones and turn them off. I want you to pull out your phones and make sure you turn them on. I want you to go to Twitter if you have a Twitter account. And yes, I do want you to do this right now, so I should see some movement. Pretend like you're doing something. And we are going to try a little social experiment. Instead of having a great big Christian radio station with 18 towers all across Missouri reaching a couple million people, we own the web. So I'm going to suggest and ask you to do a group tweet that we're going to send out all of us at the same time and just blow up the phones of everybody who's not here. So, Skepticon 5 has started, and you are missing it. The first speaker is amazing. Just saying. You should follow at Skeptic Money. Now, our goal in this experiment is for me to add 1,000 Twitter followers. So let's see if you can do it. And if you feel the necessity, go ahead and add. It's shameless. A little bit about my story to give you some perspective from where I'm coming from. You know, I was an average kid growing up in a Methodist church, which I've since learned is basically Christianese for pussy. I believed in Bigfoot and aliens, and I loved those shows on TV, just like people love the ghost hunter shows today, which I can't wrap my head around. And they taught us about this guy, the Jesus of love, and how wonderful he was. I'm sorry, not this guy, the Jesus of love, buddy Jesus. And he's all good, and the Bible's not literal, and it doesn't really mean what people think it means, and we all go to heaven. Then I ran into this guy. I still remember having to go to my parents' bedroom and watch Cosmos once a week for an hour on a 9-inch black and white TV, because that's all we had. Because the big TV, the 19-inch behemoth in the family room, was tuned to Love Boat. And this was the highlight of my week. Each and every week was watching this show. And even today I get emotional thinking about it, because it changed my life. But then I had my fall. I went back to church. I got married. We had a kid. Everybody in the family wanted the kids baptized. It's a little spritz of water. Meaningless, trivial event. Sure, why not? Apparently, most churches don't want to just give out free baptisms. You have to be a member. So we joined. I'll just pretend, no big deal. We do the baptism. Next thing you know, we put the kids into preschool because in our society doesn't apparently value preschool enough to set it up for everybody, so you have to go to a church to get preschool. And then they went to the Christian school because it was attached to the preschool, and they already knew the kids and the teachers. And the school was about to go bankrupt, so I went to the board meeting to make some suggestions, and they basically said, if you know so much, why don't you run? I did. I spent 3 years on the Christian school board as a closeted atheist. I saved the school from going bankrupt. I was there for 3 years, 2 as the treasurer. I have a lot of shit to make up for it. When I finally got off the school board, a couple of the elders cornered me one Sunday after service, and they said, we would like you to be the outreach chair for the entire church and bring in new members to this organization. I thought, what have I done? Apparently, I was the perfect candidate. I'm relatively articulate. I have a penis. I'm white. So I fit the suit. So there's that. Now, the good news is that non-belief, nuns, and of course a subset of that, atheists, are exploding. And the top number up here, my little pointer barely works, if you can see it. The unaffiliated has grown to 24%, 25% with the nuns. You also have at the very bottom this don't know what religion they are. I'd count in them too. The others and non-Christians, generally not our problem in America today, so we're well on our way. And it's not just this study. We have this brand new one from the American Value Survey, which shows the youngest adults, 18 to 29, 32% are unaffiliated or nuns, and they're not going to a church. They probably did as a kid because their parents took them, but now they're not. And they don't go back. This is the most important chart here from the Pew Forum. The greatest generation, the silent generation, the boomers, the Gen Xers, all of these lines, at least for as long as we have them, whatever you are by about 20, 25, 30, it doesn't change, good or bad. So this generation up here, that's 34% non-religious, they're going to stay 34%. So that is fantastic. So that inspires my idea. And the churches know they have to get to the kids. Knocking on doors and converting 40-year-olds is really tough. But if you can get them in Vacation Bible School or preschool, you can get them. This is a compilation that I made of that same data from Pew Forum, because they used to do the survey every 15 or 20 years, and then they've changed to doing it about every 5 years or 7 years. So when you just look at the data, it looks like it's linear growth. I want to tell you it's not linear. Now, extrapolation is always dangerous, but based on the data we already have, not only is non-religion and atheism growing, it's growing at a growing rate. Some people don't think it's a battle. I do, and we're winning the battle. I like to have fun with Christians as an example at radio show. So my daughter and I were out eating one time in a Chinese restaurant, and we had fortune cookies at the end, and we thought, why don't religions ever put messages in fortune cookies? My daughter, who is way too grown up for her age, suggests that maybe they're worried about the fact that people will add "in bed." And I thought she was onto something, so on my website, skepticmoney.com, we had a little contest, and I promised to show the winners here today. So when you read these phrases, remember to add in your own head, "in bed." So we have, "Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." "Behold, I come quickly." "Will a unicorn be willing to serve thee?" That one worried me. "Jesus wept." And I left off, but it was one of my, runner-ups as, "Come forth the little children" or something, but too Catholic. "And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass." And I had to throw in as a bonus, not one of the winners, but one of my personal favorites, just because it was non-Christian, Mohammed. Oh, see, you don't laugh at that one. Thank you. Now we're going to talk about one of the tactics I use when talking to Christians. And like JT, who I adore, is he in here? Oh, I talked good about him, and he's not even here to see it. I love talking to Christians. Every year, where is ISA? Are you guys here? This is the Illini Secular Student Alliance. They've got about 20 members here from Champaign, Illinois. And matter of fact, just hit me. Anyone who's in a college or high school group right now, please stand up and let's give them a round of applause, because they are amazing. Look at this. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I have been doing this long enough where I've been at events where I was the youngest person, and sometimes by quite a lot. No, I'm not, and they are the future, and we have to make sure that they succeed. I go on the campus of U of I on the Quad for Quad Day, where all the students get to see all the tables, and they put their secular student table in the middle of the Christian tables, because they don't know where else to put it. So we're surrounded by Christians, and I have great conversations, and I developed this little end point where I'll talk to a Christian for a while, and when I realize that they're getting tired, and it's almost always before I am, about talking about religion, and they're going to leave, I say, you know what? Let's talk about for a moment something we can agree on. There's certain basic morals and ethical values that we share, and we should focus on those things and make sure that we build on that. And they said, yeah, that's great. I said, so let me give you a scenario. You're in a dark alley, in the middle of a foreign country, you can't speak the language, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't even know how you got there, and you're all alone. And you're very concerned and very worried, and out of the darkness comes an ogre, 8 feet 2 inches tall, 450 pounds of muscle except for the beer belly, but ignore that. And he grabs you from behind and lifts you off the ground, and that's with one arm. You are in big, serious trouble, and you can't move. And with his free hand, he puts up to the side of your head a gun. And he leans over to your ear and he whispers, "Do you love me?" And you're in such shock that the ogre explains to you that if you love him, he will make you a cake. And if you don't love him, he's going to shoot you in the head and turn you into a zombie. So, the big question is this moral? And every single time I've talked to a Christian about this, they say, no, the ogre is not moral, the ogre is behaving immorally. And I said, see, there's basic human values that we agree on, whether we're religious or not religious. Now, some of you may see where this is going, but some of you may not, but the Christians don't. I said, let's change the rules a little bit. No, let's not change the rules, let's change the parameters. Let's just magnify them. Instead of the ogre building you a cake, he lets you live in a place of beauty and grace for all of eternity. And if you don't love him, he's going to send you into a lake of fire where you will burn over and over for all of eternity. And they say, oh, well, now you're talking about Christianity. And I say, we agree twice. That's magical. And they go, but that's different. I just don't understand. Often at that point, they say something like, I gotta go. And they stumble off. And maybe it's just me being sadistic and poking fun at them or making them try to think. But I'd like to think, and maybe this is just self-delusion, at some point they go, damn, he had a point. Other atheists will tell me that we should just be quiet and stay in our rooms. And I say, we tried that for 1,800 years and it didn't fucking work. So I'm just saying. After that, I figured we needed something fun and lighthearted. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the meat and potatoes of one of the points I want to make is how you can get to the children. And the first time I gave this talk, I was very concerned because I had never seen anyone do it before. And atheists just 30, 40 years ago were mostly retired people that were free to say what they wanted to say and didn't have to worry about losing their jobs. And now I'm taking it full circle and I'm saying, you got to get to the kids. And I don't mean just your kids. I mean your nieces and nephews, your younger siblings, your neighbors' kids. You have to keep in mind what you can get away with personally without putting your life in jeopardy, or perhaps the child's. I had some neighbor boys come over, and they know me, and they know I'm an atheist. I answer the door with the Richard Dawkins A shirt on. And one of the boys says, oh, you're the atheist, right? He may have never met an atheist knowingly if I hadn't been open. He said, but atheism is just another religion. And inside I'm screaming, and I want to grab him and go, you stupid. But instead I said, that's a very thoughtful question. I think I can explain why that's not true if you'll give me a couple minutes. Do you guys want to come inside? Sure, okay. So they came inside, and we sat in my office, and I showed them the Brick Testament Bible. Is Brandon here? He's out there selling books. Go buy some. Oh, I love his work, the Lego Bibles. Can't get enough of it. And I show them things online. I gave them each a free copy of a Gideon's Bible, because you get one free with each night's stay. I figure I cost the Gideons an extra $1 every time I steal one, take one. So I want you to do things that can help. And one of the first things is Steve Spangler Science. And since we're going to talk about science, I've got to get all science up in here. So, it's real science when you got a fucking lab coat. And since I take everything too far, so, I'm shedding. Tasty. All right, I need help from Derek Miller. Where is he? Derek, come on up. Derek is the president of the Illini Secular Student Alliance, one of the best one of the best student groups out there. And we're going to do a little experiment, and it's to illustrate the Bernoulli principle. And we got to make sure this is ready for you. Anyone ever heard of a diaper genie? Have you ever heard of a diaper? Nope. Don't worry about it. Oh, good. I cleaned it out earlier. It's fine. It's not like I'm going to ask you to put your mouth on it or anything. So what I want you to do is take this open end and get some big breaths and try to fill it. I only have an hour. Come on. It's kind of limp. All right, that's four. Four. No, I'm going to try now. Okay. We're going to get all the air out so it's fair, so you can let go. Let it all out? Yeah, let it all out. Right. Thank you. It's the wig, isn't it? I'm going to try. You ready? Okay. How's that? Huh? Thank you, Derek. Give Derek a big hand. He's been very helpful. The first time I showed my kids, my daughter, who's too old for her age, says, "Dad, that's one hell of a condom." I don't know. I'm going to put her in a convent. Other things you can do with Steve Spangler Science, they have this neat kit where you get this little nozzle and some Mentos, and all you got to do is buy your own 2-liter bottle of Coke. But we're going to do that a little later, so don't go anywhere. You got to keep you in the seats, so you don't want to leave early and rush to your cars to see the football game. Oh, wait, it's 10. Steve Spangler Science also has books put out. They make great things, and matter of fact, often while they're selling the products for money, they will tell you about neat tricks like this diaper genie bag that you can go buy at a fraction of the cost. So it's not always about them making money. They really want you to teach science to kids. So I love that website. We had these little beads, and my daughter a few years ago, she had all the cheerleaders from school over to the house, and we made friendship bead bracelets. And they made them out of these white beads. So just to make sure you're awake, I'm going to throw them at you. Are you ready? They thought I was joking. Keep your eyes open. Oh, they don't go as far as I was hoping. All right, here we go. Come on. Whoops. Oh, Michaelis. We got farther back. Now I got it. Now I got it. All right, am I live? I'm still live, good. So the nice thing about these bracelets is that they're all white beads until they're exposed to sunlight or a black. Hello. One can't see below their neck. Is that a bad sign? I think it's good. So they make these bracelets, and I tell these young ladies in the cheerleading squad, they're secret bracelets. And only they know the color combinations that they make. And they go down to the basement where there's a black light on, and they make these bracelets. They come upstairs to the house with regular lights. They turn back white. And you go outside, they turn color again. And they come up to me, these young girls who've already been taught that they're not meant for math and science, which pisses me off. And they say something like, "How does that work?" It's so simple. They're asking me about the electromagnetic spectrum. It's amazing little things like this that you can do. And these aren't my kids. And I'm not turning them into an atheist by this little event, but I'm making them think. And I take that as a teaching moment to tell them that science is cool. Science is fun. It can do amazing things. You should learn more about it. Hopefully it inspires them to do something. And then this kind of flows right into having them ask questions. You want them to ask lots of questions. And when our kids were young, we had science-y videos on all the time. You can't take a little kid and sit them and force them to watch a science video. Even the best ones can be a little dry. Not to me, but to a kid. They're very excitable, just like me. So you put them in the playroom, and you just have them on. They'll soak it up. It's just like watching Sesame Street. They learn the alphabet. And we have all these dinosaur things. We have evolution box set, Planet Earth, some of the most beautiful video photography you've ever seen in your life. Amazing. So you got to teach them how the universe really works. Well, we can have a little fun too, can't we? We love this show, and it's not realistic, but it's fun. So it gets them to question things, and I even got my own little sonic screwdriver the kids bought me for one of my birthdays. So it's great fun. Other things you can do, watch movies about other religions, mythologies. Teach them that Christianity is not the only religion out there. I once had a pastor from the church that I used to pretend to be a Missouri Synod Lutheran. Any Missouri Synod Lutherans, former Lutherans? Okay, got a few. They're nuts. After 3 years of not talking to this guy, he emails me, "What can we do to get you back to church?" And I think I sent something back slightly snarky. I would have to forget everything I know about physics, chemistry, astronomy, plate tectonics, history, biology, religion. Then you might have a fighting chance, but I'd probably still find it fucking illogical. So I don't know what you do. And I asked him if the Bible was inerrant. And he said that not only is the Bible inerrant, but it's self-revealing, which I had not heard before this moment. Self-revealing means that if you were to sit down without anyone around you or anything to disturb you, and you just read the Bible from beginning to end, you would be a Missouri Synod Lutheran, because it's the one true religion. And I asked him, if the Bible is self-revealing and reading it would make you a Missouri Synod Lutheran, why is 0.003% of the world's population Missouri Synod Lutheran? He stopped emailing me. A couple of the suggestions for you. Agora, fantastic. I think, if I remember correctly, this is a Spanish movie. They spent $80 million on it. This is not a low-budget film. Could not get a distributor in the United States. Why? Because it painted Christians in a negative light I call truth. You can have a little more fun with battles. Troy, Thor. Clash of the Titans, the original, please. The new one sucked ass. I thought they had a moment where they were going to redeem themselves when they pulled, what was the little owl's name? What was it? Bobo, thank you. And they pulled it out, and I go, yes, the movie's being redeemed. It has a chance. And he goes, oh, that's some old junk. And they threw it in the crate. And I should have walked out then. I should have known. There's also TV shows, and this next one is one of my favorites. They've spent an entire decade killing false deities. Do you like this show? Now, they did not mess around, and some of my nephews, I buy them season 1 as a gift for their birthday when they're about 12 or 13 and they're kind of into sci-fi, hoping that they want season 2, season 3, or if nothing else, they see 10 or 12 episodes, whatever's in a season. Maybe it makes them think. Maybe it doesn't, but it's still a nice gift, I think. Scooby-Doo. Now, I know, and some of you will tell me, because you're atheists and you have to disagree with everything, not all Scooby-Doos are the same. But the old school Scooby-Doo, where it was the janitor or the guy who ran the amusement park ride, it was never really a ghost. And they used comedy and levity and a few Scooby snacks to prove that it always was something explainable. And everything that happens in our world is explainable, but at that moment you may not have the information to explain it. That doesn't mean you can insert your random bullshit answer and just accept it. So it's a beautiful lesson to teach the kids. Books. There are some books out here today. And my favorite, of course, I said already, the Legos. You got to be a little careful. They did take out the pornography, which really kind of bummed me out. But that's free on the internet. But there's plenty of violence. So get yourself a copy. The author is here. You can have him sign it. He didn't pay me to do this. I just love it that much. Here's a couple that I have in my presentation. Evolution by Daniel Loxton. Now, if you've got really hardcore fundy families, you may not be able to get away with giving this as a gift. But if you've got a reasonably rational Christian family, you give this to a child as a gift. It is a gorgeous picture book with text explaining the basic fundamentals of how biology and evolution work. A beautiful, beautiful book. Another simply gorgeous book, The Magic of Reality. I think this book is age appropriate for all. If you have a toddler, you can read sections of this to them as they go to bed. If they're 8 to 12 to 15, they can read it themselves. And if you don't know the basic format, there's 12 or 13 sections, and each section picks a scientific topic like, why do we have day or night? And it discusses 2 or 3 world myths, religions, and then gives you the facts. And Christianity does not hold a special place in this book. I think it's only mentioned 2 or 3 times. So the Christian parent probably won't be bothered by it much, but the child will pick out that, hey, Christianity is just as silly as ancient Aztec religion, just as logical as Roman and Greek mythologies. Letting go of God. Anybody heard this? My little story in this, I was in Arkansas for 2 years. I call it hell for short. And my wife and kids came down for 1 school year because I was only there 2 years temporarily. And when this came out, I bought my copy right away. And it came from Amazon in a box, and I opened it up. And my wife, who was a Missouri Synod Lutheran still, not anymore, but at the time, saw this and said, "You're not going to play that for the kids, are you? Because religion has a special place. It can't be discussed. It can't be attacked." No, I wouldn't. Never. I would not just for me. I wouldn't do it. Well, the first time me and the kids were in the car alone for 2 hours. Oopsie, it's all I had. So we listened to it, and I didn't make a big deal out of it. It's just what was on. Daddy wants to listen to this, and they were, 8 or 10 or 12 at the time. And I didn't think much of it. And a few weeks later, we were driving through the backwoods of Missouri for some strange reason, and we drove by this place called Fred's Furniture. And for those of you who have seen this or heard this, there's a part where Julia Sweeney talks about where they made God more personable by calling him Fred. And they would say things like, "Fred is love! Fred is love!" So we drive by Fred's Furniture Store, and my kids in unison start saying, "Fred's is love! Fred's is love!" And I'm driving, and my wife goes, "What is that all about?" And my son, the truthful son of a gun, Dad had us listen to this thing by Julia Sweeney a couple of days ago, and it had this thing where God is love, but they said Fred. I'm driving, honey. I could go into a ditch. Don't tempt me. I found out from my son a couple years later. He told me that he had serious questions and doubts about Christianity, but when this 2-hour monologue finished, he knew it was a lie. You never know what's going to be that final straw. It's a beautiful, funny, touching, heartfelt story. And for my son, it was the final straw that made it the end of religion. So I can never thank Julia Sweeney enough for that. Let's see what else we got here. Magic tricks. Oh, I got to have myself. Magic tricks. I love magic tricks, and there's quite a few magicians here. Yeah, lots of them. I know Matt Dillahunting was doing a little experiment with magic last night to see how good he can be versus how drunk he can be. So that was great. I wish I could have stayed up for another hour to see it, but I had to be here for all of you, so thank you for coming early. We got our daughter a little magic wand. I can't remember the proper name of it. It's a paddle stick with little beads on it, anyone who does magic. And we were in a magic shop, and there's an actual magician working behind the counter showing you how it works. And man, it is amazing. You're just like, how do you do that? So we bought her one, and she pulls out the instructions. She runs to her room, and she studies the instructions. And she comes down to me, and she goes, I can't figure out how to make it work. She thought there was some kind of physical mechanism, some way to manipulate it to make it do what it looked like it was doing. And I read the instructions, and I was like, Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I should have known that myself, how it worked. And so I showed her, and she's like, it's just a trick. Throws it down on the table, walks away. So I said, well, can I have it? And she goes, sure, I don't want it. So when her friends would come over, I'd practiced, and I would show them the trick, and they were amazed. How did you do that? How did you do that? And she's like, how can they fall for that? How can they not see how it works? And I go, honey, you didn't see how it worked until you saw how it worked. Can I have it back? So for a while, she showed her friends that, and it was great fun. YouTube videos. If you have the younger generation in particular, very video intensive. They love images, they love pictures, they love videos. Share them a funny little video. It doesn't have to be one that hits them over the head to start with, but something that'll get them to think and use your own judgment based on what you know of yourself and what you know of the young adult or the child that you're trying to get to. Thinking Atheist, fantastic high quality studio stuff. Love Seth's work. Aaron Ra, and I didn't put this in because he was going to be here, but I love Aaron's stuff. Is he here yet this morning? He's still sleeping off from last night, too. Dark Matter 2525 does more cartoony style. Very, very fun stuff. Mr. Deity. I have had Christian friends watch this and just laugh their butts off. And they don't get it, but they're still hearing the message. It's fantastic. Atheist Experience, Matt, who was doing the magic tricks last night. A couple of hours every Sunday or so, just explaining Christianity to Christians. This is great. Great fun. Blogs. There's so many of them, but all you need to know about is Skeptic Money. That took care of that. I got links in the sidebar if you really get bored after you read all the posts. No, there's plenty of them out there. Music. Tim Minchin. He was at the Reason rally, of course, always great. I went and saw him in Chicago, and we stood in line. We got there really early, and I'm in the front row, and I had on a gray shirt with the Doctor Who angel on it. Right? And the weeping angels, like this, just I'm scared to see myself in the mirror, kind of weeping angels. And he's doing his concert. About halfway through the concert, he stops, and he points right at me, and he goes, what? You with the blue on your shirt, what's your problem? And I'm like, he goes, you're staring at me. Stop staring at me. So, from now on, you're scary, man. And I'm like, what did I do? He goes, what is that on your shirt anyway? And so I'm trying to think, how do I explain this? I said, it's an angel. And he goes, that explains it. Nobody else knew it was a weeping angel from Doctor Who. They just heard angels, and he eviscerated me. It was great. I thank him for that moment. Shelley Siegel. The voice of an angel. She is fantastic. We had here last night, George Robb. Did a great job. And if you don't know Roy Zimmerman, you should learn him. He does more political stuff, but still religion. Very, very clever and witty, just like George Robb's. Matter of fact, all four of them, just brilliant. Mentos, you ready? Mentos, are you ready? See, Lauren thought I would actually do it on the stage. I mean, the Mentos thing. We could do it outside. Yeah, but, Are you thirsty? Yeah. Well, I walked in, and the first guy gave me $1 million. Did you guys get your $1 million? If you came late, you may have run out. I got $1 million. Oh, there's something else in the back. And then there's a second guy who says, just ask me, I'll pray for you. And I said, I'm giving a speech in half an hour. Will you pray for my speech? No. Guess I'm fucked. I'm going to hell. So you get the idea on that. That is good fun. And if the kids have never seen that, it opens up those questions. How does that work? What makes that happen? And you can actually get the Mythbusters episode where they do that, and they built this special nozzle where they got it like 35 feet or something. a custom-built nozzle. Just great fun and experimented with chemistry. Optical illusions. A friend of mine, really kind of sad in a way, but not for him so much, but his mom was Jehovah's Witness, and I think there was 5 siblings in his family, him and 4 brothers and sisters. All 4 of his brothers and sisters joined Jehovah's Witness and then realized that it was crap. Their mother will not talk to them. She will not open their letters. She will not recognize them if she sees them on the street. She will not acknowledge their existence forever. He became an atheist before he joined Jehovah's Witness and never joined. She talks to him all the time because there's still hope for him. Her 4 other children had the truth and walked away from it. The only logical explanation for that is that they're possessed by evil spirits. And she doesn't want to risk being possessed by an evil spirit, so she can't communicate with them. Anyway, I get off the side. So one of the things that got him into this, which made me think of the story, is he loved optical illusions, and he made a point of showing them to people that things aren't always what they seem. Another way to get young adults, children to think. So I have this picture of a famous actress, and beautiful as always until you change the picture just a little. Did you catch that? Let's go back. The entire time, her eyes and mouth were upside down. But when the picture was upside down, your brain fixed it. For most of you. Some of you saw it right away. But as it turns, something in your brain goes, something's wrong, and there's a point where all of a sudden it becomes wrong. And so again, it's a great example, and there's lots of optical illusions you can share that show people that things aren't always what they seem. So I love these interactive kind of things. Legos, right? Lego porn. Sadly, to get Brandon to get his books published, I talked to him yesterday, he had to take out the porn, so I have some for you here. This guy on the ground is Drunk Lot. Sodom and Gomorrah, remember that? Wife turned to a pillar of salt, or as Julia Sweeney would say, the only way to get away from her husband. They went and ran and hid in a cave, and the daughters were just bereft that their father had no children. They were women. They don't count. Bible lesson 1. Women don't count in the Bible. All they're good for is fucking and making babies. And so what do? They get their daddy drunk. The older sister has sex with them. The next day she tells the younger sister, hey, it was a pretty good time. You should try it. So Blondie has a go. And they both bear him heirs. So he has sons now. Yay for Lot. The most moral man in all of Sodom and Gomorrah, the only man worthy of being saved, sleeps with his own kids. Unacceptable today? Perhaps. This is the story of Moses. At some point, you see him in the background there, God, Yahweh. This pointer's not bright enough. He shows up, he's pissed at Moses for some reason, and he's going to smite him with a lightning bolt, because that's what gods did back then. And Moses is like, oh no, don't kill me, please. And Zipporah, his wife, says, I know how to protect my husband. She grabs their little boy, rips off his pants, picks up a sharp rock from the ground, and rips the skin off the tip of his dick, and goes and rubs it on Moses' foot. And God goes, well, shucks, I can't kill him now, and he leaves. As JT would say, dear Christian, this is fucked up. Right? I was going to ask JT to marry me today. I'm too late. Teach them about different cultures, different religions around the world. The more they know, the sillier Christianity it looks. We live in a little small town that we're just moving out of. That's why we bought the new house. They live what I call a 15-mile lifestyle. And anything beyond that 15 miles is a foreign land. They got their church, they got their family, they got their friends. They don't need to know anything else. That scares me. Do not underestimate the power of religion to get to the kids. I started off as a hardcore atheist, just letting my kids get sprinkled with some water. I didn't pay enough attention. I blame myself. And a few years later, when I came back out and told my kids, and I think they were 9 and 10 at the time, my daughter in classical style for her, whatever. My son literally cried for 24 hours. He did not sleep that night. Because when we were both dead, I would not be with him in heaven. And I let it get that far, and I didn't even know it. So you can do things to help kids that you know, that you're related to, that are neighbors. It's really important. And I thank you for your time.
You're listening to The Bill Ferguson Show.
Just a quick wrap up on the show here, of course. I knew that audio was a couple of years old, but I didn't realize it was from 2012. Oh my God, 10 years ago. Of course, as you heard in the recording, that was at Skepticon 5 in Springfield, Missouri. I think Skepticon's still around. I'm not sure. Haven't been in a few years. Maybe I should look into that and see if I can go hang out with some people at Skepticon. But like I said, 2012, so a few things in there might be dated. You get the idea. And I've been working on that presentation, tweaking it, and a lot of it, thankfully, has held and still works for today. But I had to update a few things and add a few things and take away a few things. But I'm going to have good fun with that. Again, like I said, on January 15th, in a place called the University Club of Winter Park, and that is in the city of Winter Park, Florida, maybe northeast of Orlando, January 15th, 2 o'clock. So if you can make it, I'd love to see you come up and say hi. But because we've already had so much fun on this bonus unexpected episode, I'm just going to wrap up. And I thank you for listening. Please give a 5-star review somewhere, share the show, ask others to listen. And I hope to see you soon. Until then, ciao.